Hey everyone, Forrest here for Faulty Lid, and today we're going to talk about what I believe it takes to rank up from Diamond to Masters. Keep in mind that everything I'm going to say here is based on my personal experience, and that I'm going to be making a lot of generalizations about both the Diamond and Master tiers. Those generalizations tend to be true, but aren't always on a case-by-case basis. First off, I think what separates a Diamond and Master tier player is the completeness in their knowledge and skill sets. Master tier players tend to understand their hero's role, how to be efficient with ultimates, how to position their hero, how to play as a team, and are mechanically strong and consistent. Diamond players tend to have some of those qualities, but have shortcomings in others. In Masters, it's no longer about if a player can do their job on a hero, it's about how well they can do it. This is often not the case in Diamond, where the quality of play from individual to individual can be very inconsistent. So let's assume for a moment that we are a player who has that completeness that I'm talking about. We know our roles, and we have the necessary skills and knowledge to play them at a master level. We must just rise up in ranks to masters, right? Well, unfortunately, that's just not always the case with the current matchmaking system, and I'm not sure it ever will be. If you want to get to master, I believe you have to overcome these 7 obstacles. The first 3 problems you have to overcome in order to rank up in Diamond are team comp related. In Diamond, the mentality of players who pick niche heroes tends to be a bit different than what I've experienced in Masters. High Diamond has a lot of one-trick ponies for heroes like Hanzo and Widowmaker. I think Masters has its own one-trick pony problems, but I've seen way more of them in Diamond. These players can be very good players, but many of them have hit a wall. Heroes like Overwatch's 2 DPS snipers are often situational picks. However, one-trick ponies play the same hero no matter what. The result is, you get these one-tricks who could probably be in Masters if they learn to swap off when their hero isn't working for the team, but they've hit a wall in Diamond because they'll play their one hero in good times and in bad. These players are good enough to play at a master level when their pick is working, and frankly, they're borderline useless when their pick is not. The best thing you can do as a player trying to rise through the ranks is to work with these one-trick ponies. For example, if you have a Hanzo on your team, then play Zarya. It doesn't always work, but building a setup that fits their niche pick gives you the best chance at winning. The second problem with team compositions is that no one in Diamond wants to play Reinhardt. The vast majority of Diamond players I run into hate playing him. Many to the point where the team will lie to itself and act like we don't need a Reinhardt on defense or to break through a brutal choke point like Dorado's first point. In Masters, not only do I come across more people capable of playing Reinhardt, some actually want to. Sometimes you'll even have the problem of having too many Reinhardt mains on a team. Learning to play Reinhardt, or in my case, at least grouping with a friend who plays him, will give you a much greater chance of ranking up in Diamond. The third problem is one that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and that's team comp synergies. Players at all levels, not just Diamond, but I think it happens here quite a bit, look at the picks we have, see the necessary number of DPS, tanks, and supports, and then think the team comp is perfectly fine as long as those picks aren't too niche. In actuality, we may be making the game much harder for ourselves than it has to be. In a game I had fairly recently, we had a team composition of Reinhardt, Roadhog, Winston, McCree, Lucio, and Mercy. The biggest problem with this team comp is it felt like we had 0 ultimates. None of our heroes had ults that really comboed with the others. There was no clear path to easy team wipes and teamfight wins. This meant every fight had to be won pretty much just straight up. The result? We lost the match. Now let's switch some things up about this comp to make it work. Let's switch that McCree for the much more reliable Soldier 76. Let's switch Winston for Zarya, and let's switch Mercy for Ana. Now this is a much better team comp. Zarya's Graviton Surge combos well with Roadhog's Whole Hog, which means 2 tank ultimates that would have done very little before now create what should be a free teamfight win. This Team 76 and Ana can combine their ults as well. A Nanovisor combo can win a teamfight on its own, and it comes up fairly often. That's two clear paths to team wipes that the original composition lacked. If you're watching this video, then you play enough to know what 2 free teamfight wins every few minutes can mean. If my team played something like this, we would have had a much better chance to win. I recommend making picks that synergize team ultimates and making hero suggestions when you know your comp is lacking combos. It just makes the game much easier to win. The next 3 obstacles you have to overcome in Diamond to get to Masters are game sense related. In Diamond, it can sometimes feel like players refuse to disengage. When an attack has lost a couple of players and is hopeless, teams will still play like the fight is winnable. This can lead to long drawn out fights where the people who should have disengaged earlier just die 10 to 20 seconds later. Even worse, sometimes players will use ultimates in these lost fights, which makes your next push way harder than it has to be. Not disengaging feeds the enemy team's ultimates and wastes time. On offense, it keeps you stuck in the mud, and on defense, it can get you rolled into oblivion. If you want to get out of Diamond, you're going to have to do your best to get your team to disengage whenever it is necessary. Otherwise, you can quickly find your team continuously trickling into their death. And that leads me to the next obstacle we're going to have to overcome: grouping. In Diamond, people understand the need to group up, but often they execute it poorly. In higher levels of play, people will wait outside the enemy's line of sight and group up with all 6 members of the team. In Diamond, people will often group up right at choke points and poke the enemy team while they wait for teammates. This is a horrible habit because it feeds enemy ultimates and often leads to a member of the grouping team getting picked off. We've all been in games where we have a vicious cycle of someone getting picked off every time we try to make a push. Not grouping in safe locations is the reason why. It is also common for teams in Diamond to group up with 4 or 5 players and then start pushing. This is actual insanity. We all know that getting 1 or 2 picks on the enemy team usually leads to a teamfight win. So why would teams push in and begin the fight at that same disadvantage? It's just impatience, really. Encourage your team to group up safely and to fully group up before attacking. It really does matter a lot. It saves you time and stops your team from feeding enemy ultimates for no reason. The third game sense problem we have to overcome in Diamond is ult wasting. Players waste ults all the time. I think people at this level don't quite see how precious each individual ultimate really is, and how wasting even one can change the entire outcome of a match. The 2 most common issues I see are ulting in lost fights and overkilling on won fights. Both problems have simple solutions. Communication. When you know a fight is lost, tell everyone not to use any more ultimates. Honestly, people won't always listen, and that can be really frustrating, but by making that call, we're definitely saving some of our teammates' ultimates from being wasted. Avoiding overkills requires some planning over voice comms. Before fights start, figure out where everyone's ultimates are at and make a tentative plan about which ults will be used and which ults will be saved in the next fight. This is a standard practice for players in Masters and above. Bringing that positive habit to Diamond will really increase your chances of breaking through it. You'll have less fights where you drop 2 fights worth of ultimates. Preventing overkills not only helps you win the next fight, it helps your team rebuild the ones you used the first time, since you get to build ults in the next fight you're about to win. Recycling ultimates is a crucial concept in Overwatch, and communicating to prevent overkills helps reach that goal. The final obstacle to overcome in Diamond is attitude. In mid to high Diamond, the tension in voice comms can be very high. Everyone is stressed out trying to win to rank up and to get into Masters. This leads to a mentality where everyone believes they need to be the hero and carry the game in order to win. This high stress level also means that anytime something goes wrong or someone makes a mistake, team morale plummets. Blaming and frustration can be jumped to very quickly. I've had games where teammates act like the match is already over just because we lost the first team fight. As a player trying to navigate this volatile environment, we need to do our best to not be affected by the negativity. Some games will have tilted people, and some games will have people who spite pick and throw for a variety of reasons. We need to make sure that doesn't affect our own mindset, and if it does, then we need to take a break. What I try to do is diffuse negativity when I see it starting, be a positive force when things go wrong, and compliment individual teammates when they do something right. Your goal is to get your team in a good mood and make the team environment a fun one. If everyone on your team is having fun, you'll all play better and you'll all have a better time. Getting into Masters is not simply about being good enough to belong there. That may be a controversial opinion, but I believe this is the case. Even when we're good enough, we still have to overcome the problems and volatility of Diamond in order to secure enough wins to get into Masters. It really depends on how good you are and how lucky you are as to how fast you'll get there if you're actually good enough to belong. If you're really good, then your high-level play can make up for your team's deficiencies. If you're just barely good enough to be in low Masters, then it'll be a lot harder since you won't be able to make up for bad teammates as much. If that's the case, then we have to remember that in the long run, luck will break even. As bad as your teams can be, in the long run, you'll get to face teams that have the same problems that your teams have. If you're lucky, you'll get a streak of good teams, and if you're not, then you can get a string of bad ones. We can't really affect how lucky we are, so our best option is to improve our own play so we can make up for more and more of our teammates' deficiencies and to try to mitigate those deficiencies using what we've talked about in this video. I hope this video helps you rise through the Diamond ranks and into Masters. It's something I had to deal with this season when a losing streak plummeted me from Masters into the bottom of Diamond. It took some time to get back up, but I learned a lot about the tier and improved my game a lot along the way. This video is not meant to be a rant about the Diamond tier. I made it to recognize a reality that exists there. If you've played in Diamond for an extended amount of time, you might start to see the place as ELO hell. There are players who have recently played in Platinum, mixed with players who have recently played in Masters. There's little to distinguish between these players SR-wise, but I think their actual skill level is worlds apart. This makes Diamond a volatile skill tier because it encompasses such a big range of skill levels. Some luck is definitely required to get out of it, even if you are a master quality player. The best thing you can do as a player is to make the best of it. If you think you're good enough to rise up, then focus on your own play and try to perform in each match to the best of your ability. With some high quality play, some perseverance, and a little bit of luck, you'll get that shiny Masters icon in no time. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Let me know your experience with the Diamond ELO in the comments section below. This has been Forrest for Faulty Lid, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.